Good afternoon, everyone. As you may notice, I am not at home, I'm actually outside the theatre. So I have two pieces of news which I would like to share. The first news is that I'm pretty pleased with the response that I got from the previous video when I had a chat with Russian Progress. I do promise that some more interesting videos like that are already in the pipeline. On my phone I have a huge list of good ideas which I think will be exciting once I get round to actually making them. The second piece of news is that the next 10 or 15 podcasts on sort of my website, betterenglishpodcast.com, will be free of charge. So you can get the full transcript on the website, and there's no need to subscribe on Patreon just yet, because I would like to prove this concept and prove just how useful it is. And even in the last video, we briefly talked about how useful it was. So the title and thumbnail of this video is Why I Left Moscow. And I will try to surmise this information as succinctly as possible. Why was I in Moscow in the first place? I briefly told this story on one of my first podcasts about me. But the reason I went to Moscow in particular was because I thought, well, Moscow is the best city in Russia, more or less. The infrastructure is pretty good. The salaries, I suppose, are good. It's quite international, quite clean, quite safe. And it is all of those things, except that the salary and the working conditions for an expat were not as rosy as I thought they'd be. And the rent in Moscow is astronomical. It's just, the rent is, I think I paid in rent 60% of my wage. I'm telling you the percentage because there is a huge difference in the relative cost, but the actual percentage of my salary was, the majority of it at least, was on rent, and that wasn't too comfortable. The next thing was that you spend so much time working, just work until you drop and can't do no more. And I wasn't keen on this because I value my free time quite a lot. I prefer to do the things that I like and to be able to work on sort of side projects as much as possible in order to self-develop. I think it's quite crucial. That reason also mixed with the fact that it's such a huge city. It's so overwhelmingly huge as a city that you spend so much time working and traveling that by the time it comes to your 1 day off or 2 days off, you don't really know what to do. You can't really do much because the interesting things maybe cost money, and it's hard to actually find the people to do them with. I really did not want to get caught up in this typical problem where expats go to a foreign country and they just make friends with other expats. I don't really see the point in that. And at that time my Russian also was quite basic, so it didn't really allow me the chance to move there. I'm not beating down on Moscow too much. For example, I prefer Moscow more than I prefer London for many reasons. But in general, I think it was the wrong time to move there. Maybe I would go back, I'm not sure. But actually I prefer St. Petersburg because I like the sort of sweetly slow pace of life. It's not so hectic, not so 24/7. You know, people actually value culture more there than they do work, I think. At least that's the general, comparison. So yeah, that is basically why I left Moscow. Not because I hated it, just because some things did not work out the way I would have liked them to. But maybe go to St. Petersburg instead, because I've visited there a few times and I love this city. It's, I think, the best city in Russia, and probably definitely in the top 10 in Europe, but I have not traveled across Europe so extensively before. So with that, I will conclude, and I hope you like this backdrop more than the house, because I know I certainly do. If you're watching this video, I recommend that you turn on the subtitles if you have not already. Go back to the beginning and read and listen at the same time. and then go to Patreon, download the full transcript, the PDF, and actually study, analyze the text as you wish. Also, if you have ideas for videos, I don't know, common expressions, ways to say thank you, I don't know, idioms or particular topics that you would like me to, speak on, what's this? Then you're more than welcome to drop a comment or just send me a message. So Instagram, links, all that stuff is going to be in the description. Hope you enjoyed this video and have a lovely day. I think one of the best things that really makes a theatre bright, vivid, distinct, and so on is to have really clean white columns like this. And there are, I think, looks like about 8 of them, something like this. But in general, this theatre is pretty beautiful, and I frequent this theatre a lot, and it's the place that I go to probably more to, it's the place I probably go to more often if I want to do something cultural, I guess, because inside is also pretty fantastic. And yeah, I will be going here a lot in the winter as theatre season, also useful phrase, as theatre season picks up, as theatre season begins.